So if you thought we forgot something, we certainly have not. And we're now going to honor the colleague, the exemplary professor here at Miami-Dade College, not just North Campus, but at Miami-Dade College, who has served, given of himself, and has transformed so many students' lives over half a century. His name is Professor Walton. Just please stand for a moment. Let's recognize him. So are we going to see what happened 50 years ago? Well, full disclosure, I'm 57. So let's see what happened 50 years ago in 1969. Apollo 11 lands on the moon, and Neil Armstrong was the first man on the moon. How many of you regard Woodstock? Woodstock Music Festival. Nobody wants to put up their hands? Okay. Well, nearly 400,000 people show up at a farm for the Woodstock Music Festival. Sesame Street debuts on TV. That was very exciting, public TV. How about bell-bottom jeans? How many of us wore bell-bottom jeans? And tie-dye shirts. The first ATM is installed in the U.S. Good or bad? Good, I think so too. The microprocessor is invented, Professor Walton. Yeah, you're nodding? Yes. Katharine Hepburn and Barbara Streisand tie for Best Actress Oscar Award. Richard Nixon was president. The New York Jets win the Super Bowl. Okay, there must be at least one Jets fan in the room. Thank you, Dr. Mead. Yes. Okay, I think you're outnumbered. You're outnumbered. Sorry. And so 1969, the Best Picture Oscar nominees were Funny Girl, Oliver, the winner, The Lion in Winter. And so at this time, I'd like to ask Dr. Tomova to return to the stage once again.
Thank you, Dr. Harrison. Let's give a very warm welcome to Mr. Daniel Rodriguez, former student of Mr. Michael Walton and honoree of the MDC Hall of Fame.
Dr. Harrison, cabinet members, distinguished honorees, faculty and staff, thank you for this opportunity to recognize Mr. Walton. Today, Mr. Walton, I will call you Mike, but I promise directly after this event, we'll go back to Mr. Walton. Again, my name is Daniel Rodriguez. I'm the Chief Technology Officer at United Data Technologies. United Data Technologies is one of the largest technology solutions providers headquartered in South Florida. Nearly 30 years ago, in the summer of 1990, I became a student here at Miami-Dade Community College. To me, it will always be Miami-Dade Community College. In 1951, my parents immigrated from the island of Cuba with nothing more than a high school education. It was their hope that one day they would be able to provide more for their children than they had the opportunity for themselves. I was the first in my family to graduate from college. And nearly 30 years ago, I had the great distinction and opportunity to find my way in the information technology field. There are many faces in this room that are responsible for any measure of success that I may have had in my career. But one, very specifically, is Mike Walton. The one thing that I always remember about Mike as I was starting in my career here at Miami-Dade was that I had a significant fear of Mike. Because it was always understood, and I'm still a little terrified of Mike today, so just to be honest. The reason being was that it was always well known among his students that in order to graduate, you had to get through Mike's courses. And I'll never forget my very first class with Mike. He had called up several students who had been keeping an eye on for the last year in the program. And he immediately called us up after our first class. And I thought, this is it, I'm done. Mike's already done with me. And he asked me to hand the assignment that he had given out. And typically we had 1 week to do a programming assignment. He had said, go ahead and give me your assignment back. And I thought, for sure, now I'm done. And he handed me a different assignment. And he always kept an eye on about 3 to 5 of us in the program. And every time he gave us an assignment, it was always an additional 2 to 3 days more work on top of what the traditional assignment was. And so the most important lesson that I learned from Mike at the time was always push for more, always try harder, and when given a gift and given an opportunity, always try to deliver. Mike also encouraged me to join the Computer Science Association and the Data Processing Management Association. And at the time, it was a group of 4. We had a great opportunity to be able to compete all across the Southeast in computer programming competitions. Interestingly enough, in that year, 1991 and into 1992, we were able to beat every single large major university all across the Southeast in what was called, at the time, StuCon. It is my distinct privilege and highest honor to welcome to the stage Mike Walton.
One minute cannot cover 50 years of dedication. Let this number sink in. 15,000. 15,000 students. In excess of that, Professor Michael Walton has seen during his time here at Miami-Dade College. 15,000. And if you think that he has served this long and he's slowed down, definitely not. He still shows up at 8 o'clock in the morning and still leaves class after 9 o'clock at night. He has not missed a step. What was one of the funny things is while all the honorees were coming up today, he would tell me, that person was a student in my class. That person was a student. And I'm like, did you teach everybody in here? But it's always an honor to work with him. He still serves in many roles in the department. He's still the faculty convener for the programming discipline in our department, among other things. So at this point in time, I want to also recognize not just his work, but a testament to his dedication to the school. We have some of his former students, Mr. Rodriguez. I also have some of his other students who decided to show up. Please stand. Attorney, programmer, professor, you name it. And this is because of you. So, at this point in time, I do want to introduce Professor Robert Matthews from the English and Communications Department, who will introduce a piece for you.
This is an enigmatic Bob Dylan song from 1965 called My Back Pages. It's about how when we are younger, we think we know so much, and we see life in black and white either or terms. As we grow older, we realize how much we don't know about life, and we start to see shades of gray. Like
music comes on, I'm going to give it an F. It's a pleasure being here. I've been well blessed to be here, and by God Almighty, I've been able to survive through many different presidents, 3 presidents of college, several presidents of campuses, several deans and directors, and a whole lot of chairs. My passion was first in software development and programming. Then I got an opportunity by God to find a second passion, to teach it to other students. And my philosophy has always been, I was not going to put out mediocrity, I was going to put out only the best that I could. And my students would be the best if they worked for it, and they did. And it's a pleasure being here, a pleasure seeing you all. And I'm not ready to retire yet. I still enjoy what I'm doing, and I still see the ability to share what I know with my students and my colleagues. And I feel blessed to be here. And you didn't know, they didn't say it, but I started here as a student at Miami Dade. That's where I learned my technology from. And went away and came back, and I worked during the summers at Miami Dade College as a programmer while I was going to college. And then came back and got an opportunity to go full time. And have been blessed ever since, every day. It's a joy to be here. And my son, who didn't stand up when he was announced as a student, he was also a student of mine here. That's a double jeopardy. That means the teacher and that means his father, too. So, everybody felt sorry for him when they found out who he was. You gotta be with him 24/7, that's bad news. But it's a joy here and a joy to see all the people who have been here so many years, and hope that we'll continue on for many more years. Thank you, and God bless you.